The following is a RackRadioShow.com exclusive.
Joining us right now is the author of the brand new book, A Chosen Destiny, My Story, the one and only WWE Superstar Drew McIntyre. How are you doing today?
Fabulous. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm doing wonderful. I hope you don't mind that, we're sitting here having coffee together. At least on my end. I don't know if you're having coffee on your end, but...
Actually, I'm having coffee right now. I've got my very stereotypical Scottish mug. It says on it, Scotsman, and it has a superhero in a kilt flying through the sky.
That's awesome. Mine is measure twice, cuss once on it. It's
I like it.
Nice, thick, heavy mug, so... Because I do a little design work on the side, so...
Oh, that's awesome. I've got a million mugs. Most of them have cats on them. Like my wife and I have a few cats. In the house right now, actually, we have 2 cats. We have 4 currently in the house and about 23 cat mugs. So this is like the only one that's not a cat mug.
That's great. Do you pick them up from like everywhere you travel, or is it just around town, or how does that happen?
No, she just keeps buying them.
Oh, okay.
I think it's an addiction. I may have to sit down eventually.
Just need to build a bigger mug cabinet. That's all. Just like a shelf on the wall for all the cat mugs.
Yeah. Keeps talking about the cat sanctuary we're going to have eventually. So yeah, there's 4 cats in the house right now. I get a feeling my future involves hopefully more WWE Championships, maybe a second book, and about 95 cats.
That's not a bad life, sir. I have to tell you that.
Yeah, I do like the sound of it now that I've said it out loud.
So I have to know, how are you feeling about the book? Because I know you were excited about the pre-orders, and then the book comes out, and now it's a bestseller. That has to be a wonderful feeling for you.
It's just crazy. I literally can't wrap my head around the fact that I have a book in general, and that people are reading my book in big numbers and feeling so positive about it. And the biggest thing for me was, inspiring people out there to chase their dreams and not to give up during the difficult times, which I thought was important during these times, and to hear people's stories. One of my stories about a time I was knocked down and just refused to give up really helped. And it's just surreal. It's mind-blowing. I honestly still struggling to wrap my head around the whole thing.
I bet. And was that really your inspiration, especially because last year was just really so dark and difficult, I think, for a lot of people? Was that one of your main inspirations for writing the book, was just to mainly help you get through 2020 or to help other people get through?
Yeah, that was the selling point for me, was to help others. It wasn't my idea. I didn't decide, what people need right now is to hear a 35-year-old kid from Scotland's story about wrestling in WWE. I think a company approached WWE and, wanted to put my story out there. They came to me, and my first thought was, if anyone really want to hear my wrestling story, it's not so much your wrestling story, Drew, it's your life story. You achieved something pretty incredible at a young age. You were the first ever Scotsman signed to WWE, the one wrestling company in the world from such a small country. And then what followed was the craziest bunch of ups and downs anyone's probably ever experienced, not just professionally from being at the top of the industry at such a young age, falling to the point you get fired, but in the personal life, just so many times I've been knocked down and losing so many people so close to me, especially my mother, and going through a dark time of drinking and partying and losing sight of my dreams and goals to the point where I wasn't just at rock bottom, I was about 20 feet down, and it took my wife coming on the scene and, giving me a real kick in the butt and helping, somebody that had fallen so far and was, quite frankly, a boy, finally grow up, be a man, get back on track and achieve my goals and dreams of getting back to WWE and winning the WWE Championship, becoming the first British champion, which I've done twice now. And when they, told me, if you can help a few people, I know it's most important to you, I was like, yeah, that's the most important thing in the world to me, especially during these difficult times. And if I can inspire just one person to know there's a light at the end of the tunnel, no matter how dark it gets, that's what it's all about. And to hear people's personal stories already, it's only been out for a very limited amount of time, and I've heard so many stories on social media, and that means the absolute world to me.
That's wonderful. That should be the end goal, is that, it helps people and it inspires people, because you yourself, like you said, you are inspiring because I personally have watched you and been a fan. I don't want to date myself and say how old I am, but I remember when you debuted in WWE the first time, and I was really upset and sad that, they let you go the first time, and to watch you kind of go to Impact and rebuild yourself and grow and change and become the person that you are today is just incredible to me, because it's like, well, if he can do it, I can do it, right? It's just, it's so cool.
I really appreciate that. And thank you for following for so long, being a fan, and getting some inspiration from that story. And that's something that is crazy to me, and I've accepted over the past year, and that I can help people out there through my story. And it's bizarre, just like actually listing it chronologically, how everything happened. Sometimes you kind of forget about the negative stuff, especially me. I was really good at pushing the negative stuff out of my brain and pretending it never happened. But it is important to remember those times, and the reason you're the person you are today is because of not just the good times, but the tough times, and to go through it all again, and to understand how many people helped me along the way, and lessons that I learned that I still apply to this day about being accountable to the person in the mirror. And that was important for me personally to go through again, helped me dramatically, and it's really cool to hear, your story and other stories that it might help them.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned being the first British champion. You won the title last year at WrestleMania, and that had to be, I know for me, and I don't want to say it was weird, but like it was different because everything just changed on a dime last year. And it was so cool that you would finally achieve this moment in your career and in your life to become that champion, and you're standing there holding the title in the Performance Center at WrestleMania. I mean, what did that mean to you personally?
Yeah, that was the dream, to become WWE champion. Just didn't expect it to happen in that fashion. It was 20 years work. Finally, I win the WWE Rumble. I get my guaranteed title match at the biggest show of the year, WrestleMania. I challenge Brock Lesnar, to UFC champion, multiple-time WWE champion. And then normally in our industry, the big match is coming. It's not only going to be WrestleMania, it's going to be WrestleMania in my American hometown where I've lived for 2 years, Tampa, Florida, 80 people, family and friends from Scotland all there. Wife's going to be there. They're all in the front row. Fans rallied behind me for the first time in my life in WWE. The reactions are at fever pitch I've never heard before. Nothing can go wrong. Boom, pandemic.
Right.
Yeah, I was a little upset at the time, as I talk about in the book. A bit of, I can't believe after all this time, like this happens. Of course it happens when it's my title match, the anger, disappointment, and then realizing the severity of the COVID situation, how much it was affecting everybody. People were losing their lives. People, all countries were shutting down, sports shut down, all entertainment areas shut down except WWE. When I started understanding the gravity of the situation, we're the only game in town. We were bringing the world an escape with WrestleMania. My match was last. And had a bit of a feel-good story. It could really put some smiles and faces across the world with a happy ending to WrestleMania. If I beat Brock and won the title, that was something that was really big to me. And when I won the title, it meant the world to me, and I had my moment. It was in a quiet Performance Center with no fans there instead of 80,000, but I had my moment with the title. I beat Brock. It meant the world to me. I watched it at home with everyone else. We taped it a week in advance. I was able to watch it live with the world. And when the referee presented me with the title on television, my wife presented me the title in real life, which was really cool. And then I heard the feedback from Mania, which was just unbelievable. And again, we're talking about positivity, inspiring people, and that's what it's all about. To see the level of positivity for WrestleMania was unreal. To hear the numbers of 14 million social media interactions over 2 days, up 60% the year prior. That WrestleMania was different. It was a WrestleMania when the world stood still. It'll never be forgotten, and people will remember that night that Drew McIntyre beat Brock for the title in front of nobody.
It was a cool it was cool for me watching it, at least here at home, because I've been home for a year, and I had just been sent home right around the time that WrestleMania happens. So to get to see you win, and just to even have WrestleMania, because I know, at least on the fan end of things, like, we weren't sure if it was going to happen. Nobody was sure if it was going to happen, because like you said, everything just shut down all at once, and it's, oh no, are you guys going to shut down? And you didn't, and you carried on, and you've persevered through for a year of just really ups and downs and strange times. And I want to thank you personally for doing that, and really everybody in that company for doing that, because that's really helped, at least me, and I know helped a lot of other people get through the last year, just to have that, because it's an escape from this time that we're living in, and just to have even a little bit of normalcy is wonderful. So thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that so much. That's what it was all about, from the roster, everyone working backstage, and obviously all the way to Vince McMahon. Just wanting to give everyone that constant. If we can give everyone something to look forward to every single week, a little escape and for every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every pay-per-view, and that's what we're going to do. And without our fans, we wouldn't be able to do that. Like, as you know, being part of the WWE universe, being a WWE fan, we've been the best fans in the world, the craziest fans, the most passionate fans in the world. I can only compare our fans to European soccer fans because I've been to every sport in the world, and our fans are like the closest I can get is European soccer fans, just how wild, loud, crazy, passionate they are. And even though we knew we all can be in the building with us, we were at home watching, wanting to be part of the show, and perhaps needing that escape. And it was just such a privilege. It still is a privilege to this day to give everyone that constant.
And just to fast forward a year later to Tampa this year, where you did have a title match. Unfortunately, you didn't win. I think even though it's really cool Bobby Lashley won, I think a lot of people were rooting for you to win. What was it like to be back in front of the fans for the first time in a year and kind of hear them and see them in Raymond James Stadium?
Yeah, it was something else. I can't remember how long it'd been at the time. 1 year, 1 month, and 1 day. I do remember. That's exactly how long it'd been to be in front of a crowd. And it's interesting because as much as I was on the rise before WrestleMania, but when we had the fans, and I was lucky enough that I was getting the loudest responses at the time, and the loudest in my career by far. I'd been in the kind of top position and in people's face for a year straight, like a lot of Drew content. And sometimes if our fans are not digging something, their attention will go elsewhere, and they might do it. Well, that's the thing about the passionate fans. If they don't like something, they'll let you know, and they'll let you know loudly. And I'm fine with that. I love it. I'll never get offended if people aren't digging it, as long as they care one way or another. If they're reacting like Roman Reigns style, John Cena style, as long as they react, if they boo, they cheer, as long as they make noise. So I was ready for anything. I was like, well, realistically, I'm supposed to be the good guy, but you never know. There's been a lot of Drew content. We'll just see what happens. And when I walked out for my entrance to hear the level of cheer, I was taken aback. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool and pretty crazy, because you've seen a lot of Drew the past year, and to still react so positively was cool. And to hear the shock, I think, when Lashley won at the end as well, when he pulled me out from his finishing move, the Hurt Lock, was pretty cool as well. So I think everyone just expected Drew's going to win and have his moment with the fans this year. He's earned it. He's worked so hard. He's going to get it, and then it got taken away. And I think that's important for the Drew McIntyre character. I'm not Superman. I'm Batman, and I have to be it makes me more relatable. I'm flawed as a human with the details, all the different ups and downs I've been through. I've certainly not had it easy the entire time, and why should I have it easy at WrestleMania? I got to keep overcoming it. At the same time, we're making top-level superstar and Bobby Lashley. We need as many top-level superstars as possible. So it's great to have the fans there, and to get that moment taken away, and I'm still chasing that moment in front of the fans of WrestleMania.
Well, I hope it comes for you next year for sure, and hopefully sooner than that, because SummerSlam's coming. And I know it's not WrestleMania, but SummerSlam is still a pretty big event, and it's a good time, so hopefully maybe it comes there.
Fingers crossed. I'm hoping we have fans there. Maybe we can start doing a couple of live shows again. I just can't wait. No matter where it is, if it was ever a town, I never complained anywhere I went. I'd always put on the same level of match in the smallest town and non-televised than I would at WrestleMania. But I will never, ever complain about any town I'm ever in, ever again, no matter what the attendance is, no matter where it is, no matter how bad my travel day is. I will appreciate every show that even has 20 fans in it in the future.
Well, I can tell you I'll appreciate any show that I go to, because one thing I have missed going to is wrestling, and I have every intention of when you guys come to town, which hopefully will be soon, I'll be there. I promise you.
We can't wait to have you there and hear those reactions once again. If Mania is anything to go by, people have a lot of pent-up reactions inside. We can't wait to get out, and we can't wait to hear them.
Okay. Well, Drew, our time is coming to an end, sadly. I wish I could sit here and talk to you all day, but I do have one more question for you.
Sure.
What is your favorite thing to do when you have a day off, when you have time off?
I don't do time off too often. Even during these interesting times, it used to be I was on the road 4 days a week minimum. I still find myself finding ways to keep busy, like writing a book. But with the time that I do get, since again actually home, I get to do things I never got to do before, like spend time with my wife. I do enjoy sitting on the couch with the 2 cats, or 4 cats right now in the house, and the missus, and just watching whatever TV show we decide to watch that particular night. That's my favorite thing to do. We've powered through more seasons of shows that I can possibly list right now, and it's fun. Just sit down, turn the brain off. She helps me get balanced, because as the book explains, I'm such a psycho. My old nickname is a Scottish psychopath when it comes to wrestling. I'm so obsessive. I found it hard to balance things in my life. She was the one that finally able to balance me and give me some perspective and some normality. So when I'm thinking about wrestling all the time, she gets me on the couch, puts on the Netflix, puts on some kind of show, and it keeps me balanced. So that's my favorite thing to do.
That's awesome. Drew, thank you so much. I appreciate speaking with you today.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time today.
Once again, thank you so much, Drew. It was such a blast to talk to you, and I wish you every success with this book. I hope it sells 2 billion copies, if that's even a thing. But everybody should go out, buy it, read it, enjoy it, learn from it. It's, like we said, it's an inspiration, and it's such a wonderful read. So please check it out if you get a chance. We'd like to give a quick thanks to Gallery Books and WWE for, one, supplying us this wonderful interview, and two, letting us get a preview of this book, because we got the privilege of reading this in advance, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I did as well. It's a great read. Everyone should go out to Walmart to get the exclusive chapter there and more.
But I think that does it for us. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it.